everybody, Elizabeth Hines here from our Paleo family and Autoimmune Free Cooking Club. I am back with another amazing Instant Pot recipe today. We are making beef and mushroom risotto. And I know what real Italian risotto is, and this is not that, but we're trying to make something that it's a creamy rice dish, okay? So that's why I'm calling it risotto. It's our paleo version. Although it's not technically paleo because I am going to use some real rice. I'm using a mixture of cauliflower rice and regular rice. This was a very dirty shallot. I need to wash it. So I'm going to do a slow cooker version today, but it works very well. I don't want to cut this. It works very well with the pressure function. It just so happens that it's Ash Wednesday right now as I'm cooking this, and we're going to church this evening. So I'm going to have this going on, slow cook function on my Instant Pot, and then we can just eat it when we get home. So you can certainly use your own slow cooker. I would use the low level on a normal slow cooker. With the Instant Pot slow cooker, you need to use more. If you are setting this up before you go to work and leaving it all day long, you can put it, that's hard. I bet I need to sharpen this. You can use the normal setting, instead of low, medium, high, they have less, normal, and more. And with the Instant Pot slow cooker, it's just not as powerful as your regular slow cooker. And so I would never use the less, which would be their low, unless your full intent is simply to keep warm. It's not going to cook. It's not going to cook on that less level. You need at least the normal or more. So my recipe calls for 2 medium shallots, and this was 2 medium shallots. Funny how that works. How are you doing? I hope your January and February went well. If you made some resolutions for the new year, I hope that either you were able to stick with them or modify them in a way that is going to work for you for the long haul if you're trying to improve your health. Let's see, what else do I have to say? I am sorry I do not have all this prepped ahead of time, but that is life, right? I have butter in my pan, so if we were going strictly paleo, I would not use butter because technically paleo does not include any dairy. So other good options would be ghee, which is like a butter oil. It's the butter with all of the milk solids removed. And let's see, what else would be a good choice? Ghee, avocado oil. Those would probably be my top choices for this particular recipe. You could also use some reserved bacon drippings from your healthy paleo bacon, or avocado oil, olive oil. For a while they were telling us not to use olive oil for cooking. And I've seen sort of a reversal of that recommendation. I haven't really researched it myself, but some functional medicine gurus that I trust have said, basically, we've changed our tune. It's okay to cook with olive oil. So if you love to cook with olive oil and you have that, then cook with olive oil. So that took me a long time because the shallots were very difficult to peel. And so my butter has started to brown, but you know what? I love browned butter. I don't have a problem with that. But I am going to turn this down for just a minute because I want those shallots to just become nice and translucent. I don't want them to burn. It just took me a while to get other stuff in there. So you just turn that down a little bit. And you saw with the Instant Pot, you have to turn it off before you get like 30 seconds, I think. 10 seconds. It's been a while since I've looked that up. There are a few seconds that you can hit that adjust button and adjust the level right here. but it's not very long. So like I had it on more for 5 minutes. I could not just adjust the level. I have to turn it off and then turn it back on, which is not a problem. Just know that you have to do that. Don't think your pot's broken if it won't let you adjust. It's timed out. Okay, so what I have here that I'm going to add in, I'm going to chop, and as I get it ready, I'm going to add it in. You know what? I'm going to get rid of all these shallot peels because it looks ugly. And I just hate having all that trash on my counter. So bear with me for just a second. Every week I meet with the members of the Autoimmune Free Cooking Club. We have just a weekly call where you can ask questions. I have some kind of lesson prepared for them if nobody's there. But that is it's super fun. I love it. I love talking with them. But I'm such an introvert, it kind of takes me a few minutes to recover from that time. And also, I'm playing phone tag with somebody. It's like I'm waiting for her to call me, and then I call her back, and it's like, I got something to do. Is she going to call me when I'm in the middle of my filming? And so I'm a little bit stressed out. So I need to just take a couple deep breaths and know that it's going to be fine. Did I tell you what I have here? I got so distracted by myself. I have 8 ounces of cremini, which are the baby portobello mushrooms. 8 ounces of those. And then it was the same size box. You know what I mean? Those little boxes that you can buy of the mushrooms, of just shiitakes, but it was only 5 ounces. So I have found a 4-ounce package of mixed, I think they call them wild or fancy or gourmet mushrooms, something like that. I found those before, and then I found this 5-ounce box of just shiitakes. And I opted for that this time because the gourmet blend also included cremini, and of course they're mostly cremini. Mostly cremini. They're mostly not the shiitakes, and I think there were also oyster mushrooms in there. So I just decided I would put my money where I really wanted it and get all the shiitakes. So anyway, I got 1 package of baby bellas, 1 package of shiitakes. And I put in, this recipe calls for 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And I just put in 1 teaspoon. So again, I'm just giving you the chop. The shiitakes were already sliced. The bellas were not, but I washed them and they were just all together in my strainer. So I want to dice them. This isn't going to get blended or anything like that. So I don't want gigantic chunks in there, but that's completely subjective. You might want your mushrooms in big slices or chunks, however you like it is fine. Adding the salt at this stage helps to pull some of the moisture out of the vegetables. So that's why you really want to add some salt at this point. Plus you're really building in the flavor. If you didn't add any salt until the very end of your cooking, your dish, it would be hard to flavor your dish well. It would be more likely to end up just tasting salty. But you don't want your food to taste salty. You want it to taste well seasoned. So now I have all my mushrooms in. This is part of why I did not go ahead and chop all these vegetables ahead of time. Number one, I want you to see how long it really takes to cook these recipes. But also this is the way that I think it turns out the best. You chop some things, you add them in. They start cooking, you chop some more things, you add them in. So I always start with my onions or shallots because I want them more cooked. And then, like if I were putting squash or another soft vegetable like that in here, I would put the squash in last. So I put in my shallots, and then I put in my mushrooms, and now I'm working on my peppers. That's the way you would really cook it, ideally. So I'm showing you the real deal. So this recipe calls for just one bell pepper. I choose red because my family likes the non-green ones the best. And I just think it looks really pretty in there. That red one was kind of small, so I also had an orange, so I'm going to add the orange too. So we got, we'll have double bell peppers, which is really the nice thing about this kind of recipe is you can be totally flexible with it. If you didn't have any bell peppers on hand, you could still totally make this. You could add, you had a can of like diced chilies or something, or you've got some jalapenos, you could add that. You could really just add what you have. The idea here, yes, we want a good flavor. We want ingredients that work well together. But I'm trying to get as many vegetables with different colors, because the different colors are different phytonutrients that do different things in your body. So we want the flavor, and we want as much nutrition as possible. So to add an additional, different colored bell pepper, it's like, why not do that, So I'm just layering things in. And obviously you're seeing me stir every time. All right, I'm going to get my beef in there, and then I will chop my garlic. So this is 1.25 pounds grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef. Talk about that in just a second. And then I want 3 cloves of garlic. And again, if the recipe says 3 cloves of garlic, it means 3 average-sized cloves of garlic. So if your cloves are really big or really small, you'll just want to adjust accordingly. Either add more or add less. So these were pretty average, so I'm just going to go with the 3. Regarding the ground beef, you probably, well, I don't know, maybe not. I was going to say, you probably have heard that grass-fed is better for you, but maybe you haven't heard that. I know I have a lot of new subscribers, so let me just give you a little lesson on ground beef. Cows are ruminants, kind of animal that they are. Their bodies are designed to eat grass. Their bodies are not designed to eat grain, corn, and soy, and soy is a legume, but primarily feedlot cows are sold or fed GMO, genetically modified corn, and other grains, sorghum and stuff that you probably don't even want to know about. But because their bodies are designed to eat grass, they get sick when they eat not grass, and which is why we call them feedlot animals. So the cows that are not grass-fed, grass-finished, they're also usually fed a lot of antibiotics and hormones because they need that. They need those medicines to survive, to grow well, because they're being fed a really suboptimal diet for their bodies, for how they were designed. And so by eating meat that was grown the way it was designed and fed the way it was designed, you're getting a healthier animal. Grass-fed beef is very high in different nutrients, and so it is healthier for you all around. But the trick is, so companies, marketers are smart, and they know that we don't always do our research, and we will fall for what they put on the outside of the package, and we won't read the back of the package or read the details. All cows are grass-fed at the beginning of their lives. But then they are quickly moved to a feedlot where it's like this desolate brown, no green. They're packed in. They're swimming in their own waste. Not literally swimming, but they're living in it. It's not a healthy environment for the cows. And essentially they're sent to slaughter right before they would have died anyway, because they're so unhealthy. So if you see a package that says grass-fed beef, that's great. I'm seeing it on beef jerky. I'm seeing it on pre-made burgers. I'm seeing it on all sorts of things at all sorts of places, all grocery stores. You need to make sure it says either 100% grass-fed or grass-fed and grass-finished, okay? Grass-fed and grass-finished or 100% grass-fed. That means that it really is a grass-fed animal. Grass-fed beef is generally leaner. I don't have any, which is why if you've watched any of my recipes, you don't see me strain my ground beef. I don't drain the fat off because there is very little. It's pretty lean. This package was just a little bit frozen still in the center, so that's cooking away. I'm going to add my garlic. If you want access to the printable version of all of my recipes, hundreds of recipes that are all gluten-free. They're 100% are gluten-free. Most are paleo, which is an anti-inflammatory diet. That is available as a membership for $9.99 a month. You can buy it for 1 month or you can pay it for the rest of your life. You know, there's no commitment to that for long term. But then you'll have access to all of my recipes in a handy-dandy printable form. Wow, I just feel like I said a lot of things. So I'm just going to continue to cook this until my beef is all no longer pink. Then we're going to add in some arrowroot, which will be a thickener. We'll add to that creamy texture. This is a totally paleo recipe. It's not autoimmune paleo as written. You could adjust it to be autoimmune paleo. So while this is cooking, real quick, paleo anti-inflammatory diet. A lot of people with autoimmune disease can follow a paleo diet and keep their disease in check without medication. It's grain-free, it's dairy-free, free of legumes, which would be soy, peanuts, chickpeas, all those sorts of things. No refined sugars and seed oils. And a lot of people do really well with that. And other people need a little bit more for a period of time. And so then they might try something called the autoimmune paleo diet, which excludes all the things that the paleo diet excludes, but then it also removes nuts and seeds, nightshade vegetables, which are peppers, eggplant, white potatoes, and seed spices like paprika and black pepper. And eggs. So those are the main things that it then removes in addition to paleo: nuts and seeds, seed-based spices, nightshades, and eggs. And that might seem like, wow, you can't eat anything. But for this recipe to become autoimmune paleo, I wouldn't put in any black pepper. That's in my time, I need to put that in. I wouldn't put in the bell pepper, and I wouldn't put in the sherry wine. But you could add, would sherry be okay? Particularly they say no alcohol. Maybe some vinegar instead, a sherry wine vinegar. And you wouldn't use the white rice, you would only use cauliflower rice. But you could get totally the same effect, the same flavors almost entirely, and make this an autoimmune paleo recipe. So it could be shocking at first. I know, I've done it, but once you get used to it and find somebody who you trust, someone who makes recipes that you like me, I'm sure, you'll find that there are actually a lot of options. One of my most popular recipes on the blog is ground beef stroganoff. It's autoimmune paleo friendly. It's delicious. It is 30 minutes or less. Everybody loves it, and it's autoimmune friendly. So you really need like maybe 10 recipes that you love, because you don't do autoimmune paleo forever. You do it for a short time. until you start adding things back in and see how your body reacts. I need about a teaspoon of thyme, and that's about what's in there, so I'll just toss that in. I could have put that in earlier and I just forgot. It smells so good. The shallot and the garlic and the peppers, now the thyme has hit. I still needed a half of a teaspoon of salt and a little bit more black pepper. And then I'm just getting all this stuff in. Just getting everything in there, all my flavor, and then I'll be good to go. So I need a tablespoon of coconut aminos. So coconut aminos is like soy sauce, but it is made from coconut. And it's delicious. We love it. I put it in so many things. I need a half a cup of coconut cream. So this is a can of full fat coconut milk. And this is the one, it's native forest and it's the simple one, so it doesn't have any guar gum. And I find that this one doesn't have as much cream as their regular one. The cream is this fat that is at the top of the can. So I just stuck it in the fridge for a few minutes to really get all the cream that's in the can to rise to the top. So the recipe calls for a half a cup. That's generally about what is in a can of coconut milk. About a half a cup of it is the cream and the rest will be water. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It varies by brand. So this is about a half a cup right here. So then I'll just pack this away and we'll use that for something else. This is 2 cups of cauliflower rice. I just use the frozen one. I buy the giant bags of it at Costco. We go through a bag every couple weeks. We use it a lot. I mix. Often I will mix regular rice with cauliflower rice because my family really likes rice. We all tolerate it really well. And if I put in mostly the cauliflower and then a little bit of the regular grain, they can't even tell that there's cauliflower in there. Like they don't even ask. You can't, it's like it almost melts away. But it's in there. We have that nutrition in there. They just don't know. Don't tell them. Okay, and then what's left is a cup and a half of this beef bone broth. I have not ever made a really good beef bone broth. And it's just hard for me to find the grass-fed bones here. I can order them online, but they're heavy and the shipping is expensive. So anyway, this one is very expensive. This is Pacific Foods, and it is it's one of the quart containers, and it's $7 to $8 depending on where you buy it. So it's pretty expensive. Like if you're well, you wouldn't be making a vegetarian dish with beef broth. Never mind. It has a lot of protein in it. Bone broth has a lot of protein. 1 cup has 9 grams, so that's really good. All right, so all that I have left to get in here is my rice. So let me tell you how you would do this if you were going to pressurize it. If you were going to put this under pressure, do exactly what I have done, what I have shown you. And I'm just trying to get all my coconut cream to melt in there. When you go to add your rice, sprinkle it around the top, but do not stir it in. Just sort of press it so it's all moist. I have a friend who hates that word. So it's just kind of dunked under the liquid, but I'm not stirring it. I don't want it to settle to the bottom, okay? So if you do it just like that, what I just did, then put the lid on and seal and cook for 10 minutes. High pressure 10 minutes, and it'll be perfect. But I'm doing the slow cooker version today, so my rice is fine just like that. I'll end up stirring it in eventually. But I have this Instant Pot lid. I can link that in the notes. And I want slow cook. I want it on more. And it's really only going to have, what time is it? It's 3. It's going to have about 4 hours until we're ready to eat. But it doesn't matter. However much time it puts on there is fine, because you can take the lid off. It's not like you've put it under pressure and it's going to cook for that length of time. I mean, I can stop it at any time. Does that make sense? So there we go. So I'm going to let that just go until we're ready to eat, which will be after church tonight, which is why I'm doing it the slow cooker way. And I will plate it up and I will show it to you. The one additional ingredient that is just kind of like gilding the lily, because this is such a flavorful dish as it is. But if you have some really good quality grass-fed cheddar, we say everything's better with butter. Everything's better with cheddar, you know. Just a little bit of cheese on top is delicious. So of course you could add that. I wouldn't stir it in. If you're pressurizing, I definitely wouldn't put it in. But you can either sprinkle it on everybody's individual serving, or what I will do is I will take the lid off. When it's time to serve, I'll sprinkle it on, I'll put the lid back on, and it'll just kind of melt on there. So this dish was full of mushrooms. It has the cauliflower rice, and it has the bell peppers. So we have a lot of vegetables in there. If you wanted to really, that would be fine. You know, I'm not the food police, but we do try to make sure we get a couple vegetables in every meal. I would be okay with my family eating that, as, you know, this is a one dish meal right here, that's it. But you could very easily do just a simple vegetable on the side, like some asparagus or Brussels sprouts. I don't tend to do broccoli with cauliflower together because there's just 2 cruciferous vegetables, just for variety. Green beans, zucchini, something like that, or even just a salad. Or even easier would be just to chop up some spinach or kale, chard, some kind of hearty green, and add it right to this. You could even stir it in at the last minute and it would wilt in there. It would be delicious. If you're needing to hide it from your kids or someone picky in your house, go ahead and put your greens in ahead of time so they really, really, really cook down. Other than being able to see that there's something green in there, nobody will be able to taste them. So that's the beef and mushroom risotto, and I will show you the finished product in just a little bit. Okay, so 4.5 hours later on slow cook more, that's the highest level, and the rice was not done. So I put on my pressure lid and I tried to pressurize it for 3 minutes, but because it was so thick and like creamy, it stuck to the bottom of the pan. So when you're, the heat is all coming up from the bottom. So when you're pressurizing, you have a lot of heat coming up from the bottom. So even if when I turned it on pressure, there was nothing stuck, it caused the food to stick to the bottom and then it would not seal. So the little floater did not come up and the time started counting down and I knew it didn't seal. I had a feeling it wouldn't, but I wanted to try it anyway. But it got really hot and it was just enough to go ahead and finish cooking the rice. The rice was close. So I would say if you're going to make this slow cooker, it needs at least 6 hours on the highest level and would be fine with even more. But if you're just doing pressurized right from the beginning, like I showed you in, in the prep part of the video, 10 minutes high pressure and it's perfect. That's the way I've made it in the past. So I have some yummy white grass-fed cheddar there, and we have just gotten home from church. It's late. So I just sliced up a couple pears and that's going to be our dinner. I'm going to put I had 2 different kinds of cheese, and the one on the bottom I like better than the one on the top, so I'll tell my family. So there we have the beefy mushroom. My kids said beefy is weird. You know that Campbell's beefy mushroom soup? That's why I keep thinking that. Just beef and mushroom, beef and wild mushroom risotto, paleo, until I put the cheese on top. In the Instant Pot, either fast or slow, either way that works for your life. They're so hot. super flavorful, very flavorful and delicious. The bell peppers in there, cauliflower rice, a couple types of mushrooms. It's delicious, hearty, warm, filling, great for a winter night or great for any weeknight that you need a quick dinner. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Introduce yourself if you're new here. Consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all that great stuff. All of that helps to keep our channel going and keeps me bringing you new recipes and helps spread the word of really good food that can still be really good for your body. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you next time.